We'll recap a drama film in which an old man falls in love with a schoolgirl. To know what happens next, watch till the end. The movie starts with Humbert driving. He is holding a hairpin in between his fingers, an equally blood-stained gun in his backseat. He thinks about a young girl, and though she's known by many names from Lo to Dolores, she will always be Lolita in his arms. Humbert talks about Annabelle, who he met when he was 14. She wanted to be a nurse while Humbert wanted to be a spy. She died not long after he fell in love with her as a teenager. Even though the child he adored had died, he continued to search for her as he grew into adulthood. In 1947, Humbert accepts a teaching post at Beardsley College in America. He decided to finish a textbook he was writing during his free summer before the fall semester. He goes to live at the house of a friend of his late uncle, the McCoos. However, when he arrives, the house has been burned down. Charlotte Hayes, a McCoos friend and widower, graciously agrees to accommodate him. Instead, he meets Charlotte after showing him her messy home. Charlotte takes him to the garden, and this is where he finds Lo, Charlotte's daughter. Beside the sprinklers, drenched, is reading a magazine. Her clothing barely conceals anything. Her underwear is visible beneath. Humbert can't keep his eyes off of her. When Lo notices him, she smiles, displaying her retainers and emphasizing her young age of 14. He mutters that she's beautiful and asks Charlotte how much the room was. Days pass and Humbert secretly and wistfully observes the childish and dance and music-obsessed Lo, who appears completely uninterested in him. He can see the bathroom from his room, and from there he can see Lo's bedroom. He observes her mother arguing with her as well as her idleness. Lo pays him a visit to his room one day. She stands behind his desk and then unexpectedly sits on his lap, just to stick the gum she's been chewing onto his notebook. Lo immediately stands up and runs away when Charlotte calls for him. Charlotte discovers Lo fleeing to her room while Humbert attempts to remove the gum Lo had left on his notebook. Charlotte eventually makes Lo pack her belongings for camp, followed by boarding school. On the day that she's leaving, Humbert hurriedly looks out the window as they're getting in the car. Just as Lo gets into the car, she notices Humbert staring out the window. Lo runs back to their home, then up the stairs. So she can jump for Humbert, she wraps herself around him and kisses him. Goodbye, Humbert. On the other hand, rushes to Lo's room and dives into her closet. But as soon as he hears Louise call out to him, he straightens up to meet her. She gives him a letter, and when he reads it, he realizes it's from Charlotte, in which she expresses her love for him. She requests that he leave before she returns. If he doesn't, it simply means that he wants to be with her as much as she does. Humbert stays and marries Charlotte, with Lo absent from the ceremony. Despite Charlotte's affection for Humbert, he remains dismissive of her. Humbert successfully avoids most of his husbandly duties 6 weeks into their marriage by giving Charlotte sleeping pills. When he gets home one day, he finds Charlotte crying at the table. She had read his diary where he had called her a fat cow, old and stupid, and how much he liked Lo. She tells him she's leaving and promises he'll never see Lo again. He tells her that they both need a drink. Humbert receives a phone call in which a man informs him that Charlotte has died. Humbert realizes that Charlotte's no longer at the writing table. The front door is wide open. He steps out and finds her lifeless body in the middle of the street. A kid hands Humbert the letters, explaining that she was going to mail them when she got hit. Humbert accepts the letters and heads back to their house, where he can stop pretending that he cares about his wife's death. Humbert eventually packs Lo's clothes and drives to camp to pick her up. Lo inquires about Charlotte in the car, and Humbert informs her that she is in the hospital with an abdominal problem. Lo then goes to the back of the car to change her clothes, while he is watching her through the rear view mirror. He then tells her that he missed her, to which Lo responds that she didn't miss him. She tells him that she believes he doesn't care about her because he has yet to kiss her. In response, Humbert pulls over Lo, immediately climbs onto his lap to kiss him. They later check into a hotel while Humbert is speaking with the receptionist. Lo crawls to a dog and begins mischievously playing with it. The dog's owner is a wealthy and elderly gentleman. The owner remarks that his dog dislikes most people but surprisingly likes Lo. When Lo asks who the dog likes, he says he can smell the sweetness and that he likes nice, sweet young people like her. Humbert leads Lo to their hotel room. Once inside, she asks him if they'll be sharing the same room and bed. Humbert tries to convince Lo that he can take the cot if she wants, and as Lo slumps down on the chair, she calls him crazy. She speaks dismissively and uncaringly about her mother divorcing him and strangling her if she finds out. Humbert sits on the bed attempting to explain to her that he is responsible for her welfare as her father, and that because they are not wealthy they must share the same room when they travel. After checking into their room, the two later have dinner. Lo gestures to one of the men in the booze, claiming that he's watching them. It's the dog owner from the lounge. Later that night, back in their hotel room, Humbert is taking off Lo's shoes and socks. She wants to tell him about how naughty and disgusting she was was at camp. But Humbert insists on waiting until tomorrow. Humbert walks out, while Lo is getting ready for bed when Humbert arrives at the hotel's porch. He hears the same man speaking while rocking in his chair. "Where in the devil did you get her?" He tells him that Lo is his daughter, but the other man knows he's lying. He inquires about Lo's mother and Humbert informs him that she is no longer alive. The man invites them both to lunch the following day, but Humbert declines and informs him that they will be leaving soon. Humbert enters their room and lies on the small portion of the bed. Lo wakes up the next morning and blows on his face. She kisses him softly and sloppily before whispering something in his ear, prompting Humbert to ask if she really did that with Charlie, someone she met at camp. She playfully tells him and she guesses she'll need to show him everything. Then she starts untying his pajama bottoms and hugs him. They leave the hotel by car and Lo asks him to take her to the gas station. Because she is in pain, he looks at her terrified and she tells him what he expects after what he did. She describes herself as a daisy fresh girl. Then Lo muses about calling the